Thank you for joining us on Data Cloud Now, where we bring you the latest in all things data in business and industry. Today, we are exploring the data-powered growth story of ReshaMandi. I'm now handing things off to our DCN correspondent, Gautam Srinivasan in Bangalore, India. Enjoy.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm Gautam Srinivasan, and welcome to Data Cloud Now. Catching up with us for a talk on all the exciting things that ReshaMandi is doing with data for transforming the natural fibers ecosystem is Saurabh Agarwal, the company's founder and CTO. Saurabh, great to have you with us.
Pleasure.
And looking forward to discovering more about the ReshaMandi story, because you've literally transformed the entire ecosystem from farmers to weavers to reelers to manufacturers and more. So you've used AI and IoT and a lot of technologies, machine learning, to kind of make data work for you, work for this ecosystem from farm to retail. So give us a sliver and insight into how data has kind of unlocked opportunities for you.
First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm excited and to talk about the ReshaMandi journey. So how data has unlocked farm to retail for us. I think to understand that, we have to understand the whole supply chain. It's a very complex supply chain with multiple stakeholders doing processing at each leg of it. Instead of doing that, I think it'll make sense that I tell you what we discuss within ReshaMandi. So there is a concept called MADS that we have at ReshaMandi. MADS means there are two M's, ADS. What that means for us is Mudra, merchandising, automation, demand, and sourcing. The whole supply chain, textile supply chain, can be consumed in these 5 terms. Mudra, we mean capital. With data, we unlock capital for our stakeholders. We know what is the transaction history, how much is the revenue for this guy, what are his compliances and everything. So we unlock capital for them. We do lending to them. Then there comes merchandising. Merchandising in the sense there is production merchandising, there is retail merchandising where, for example, in retail merchandising, all these retailers have a problem of dead inventory. So if they offload that data or share that data with me, that I have this much inventory, this is moving, this is not moving, and I have a connection to these 10,000 retailers all across India. So I know what is selling where, and I can cross-sell. I can enable these guys to not have dead inventory.
Smartly aggregating.
Aggregate. So large organized players always do this, right? But for the organized players, we want to be that merchandising platform. Now, if you look at automation, all the IoTs that we are doing, all the productivity enhancements or AI-based gradings that we are doing, the data-backed gradings that we are doing, all this is enabling automation and smarter gradations and the quality assurance in the supply chain. Demand and sourcing are pretty straightforward in my opinion, where every stakeholder has a problem of procuring raw materials, sourcing the right goods with the right quality and price points, and then because it's back-to-back stacked up, so what happens is they have a problem once they have produced, how do they generate demand for that and sell it out? So there is a price barrier, there is a quality barrier at both ends, so it helps, the data helps us to capacity plan all this back-to-back. So that's how data powers the whole supply chain for us.
Fantastic. Now let's look at the supply chain, right? As the entire supply chain of the Indian apparels and textiles market, that gets digitized as you've kind of demonstrated for us right now. How do you think that's going to change the dynamics of running a B2B marketplace?
So traditionally, I think all the B2B marketplaces in India or worldwide have been more focused or centric around transactions. They want to sell goods, they want to enable people to buy and sell. I think that has to change with digitization. What has happened is over a period of time, people have realized transactions are possible. That's not a problem. I will list here, I'll get orders, and all these things are possible. I think B2B marketplaces and platforms need to adopt a perspective that they need to be decision enablers for these stakeholders.
All right. Now, since we're here at the Snowflake Data Cloud World Tour, I want to know more about how this association between ReshaMandi and Snowflake has kind of helped you evolve in your digital journey as you move from farm to retail.
So we recently got onboarded with Snowflake, and I think this is becoming more and more strategy for us, where what we are doing is we are connecting our internal services with Snowflake. We are using Fivetran as connectors. We are using them to connect to Snowflake. What happens with that is, earlier my data was fragmented. We were using Mongo for my IoT and for my unstructured data. I'm using Postgres, I'm using Redis, and all sort of databases and log and everything is there within my system. So Aggregating my managed data into Snowflake is one part of it. Then there is my third-party SaaS providers like SAP, like Google Analytics, MoEngage, Segment, all that user-generated data which is there with me. That also gets fed into Snowflake. Now with workloads that we are building, that is powering two things for me. That's how I see it. There are two things. One is the external facing. External facing is essentially what value do I bring to my stakeholders. With the data and all these things, I can do trend analytics. I can do forecasting for my customers. I can today, because of Snowflake data lakes and everything, tell my customers in Calcutta, these are the colors and designs which are going to sell. These are the designs and trends which are available in Delhi. So this is what you should source. Don't source a purple sari. Don't source this fabric. Source yellows, source pastel shades, because that is what sells in Delhi. So those type of analytics I'm able to give to my customers because of the data that I've built. The second powering that Snowflake is doing internally, and it is helping me a lot being a promoter of the company, is reporting internally. So internal employee efficiencies, internal reporting using Tableau and otherwise connecting it to Tableau, and then reporting is there, and then risk mitigation for my internal teams, that what is breaking where. All that data analytics internally helps me as a company to grow. So those are the two angles I think Snowflake is helping.
Well, it's sorting both sides of the equation, internal and external as well, right? And speaking of forecasting, let's look at the way ahead, because I believe you're expecting revenues to grow 5-fold in the next fiscal. You're expanding to markets abroad, so lots on the anvil. So I want to understand from you, how is your digital first approach kind of powering this expansion?
So technology has been the epicenter of whatever we have done with ReshaMandi. So Mayank, my other promoter or co-founder, brings the industry expertise. I bring the technology expertise. And we have always thought that if we need to grow and disrupt the market, technology is the only way to go about it. Otherwise, at beyond a point, it becomes unscalable, right? So your GTM needs to have technology. So what we have done is we have amalgamated all our technology into one super app, which is called the ReshaMandi app. If you are a farmer, cocoon, cotton, wool, jute, you can log in into my app, discover products, sell what you have to offer, upload your catalog. So that has been the primary driver of growth and technology for us. Now, recently what we figured is if we want to venture out into the international markets, so there is a clear demand of traceable supply chains across the world. Right. So for that, what we have come up with is we are launching it tomorrow at the Marketplace conference by Parallel Resources. It's called ecosystem.reshamandi.com. It's the full stack ecosystem where any brand in the world can come in. They will get the whole back-to-back traceability of this supply chain. So then we have our Mudra Capital arm, which does lending, working capital solutions to these customers. So we are in flight of building that mobile app. But what we have done today is embedded finance into the supply chain via my super app itself. So embedded finance, we thought, is the way to go about it, and if we remain in this segment. So all these technology things that we have done is enabling growth for us.
It's a fantastic ecosystem play, because you can keep adding more services as you go along and of course drive more value. All right, before we let you go, Saurabh, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in this journey that you have had with ReshaMandi as you look to turn profitable next year especially?
Can I tell lessons?
Let's pick the top three.
Top three? Okay. I think the biggest top three lessons would be, first is execute. You need to execute at a pace which is unmatched. So you can think, don't overthink things. So execution is key to everything you do. I think the second biggest item would be team. If you have the right folks with you, there's no limit. So you need to get your team and act together. That is very, very critical. Third, I think people miss it, or sometimes there is overdose of either of them. Sometimes GTM doesn't have technology, sometimes technology doesn't have GTM. But a go-to-market strategy has to be complemented with technology if you want to power growth beyond a point. So I think those are the three learnings. Regarding profitability, I think it's a mindset. If as the founder, you have the mindset of profitability, you will bake it into your business models, your financial models. You will look for opportunities which are profitable. You will build features for customers which will generate profitability for you. I think it's more to do with the mindset of the founders and baking that it into the employees, into the ecosystem, into the financial models, into the whole ecosystem.
All right, the three lessons as we had: focus on execution, build your team, and of course, complement technology with your go-to-market strategy. Well, that's the data-powered growth story of ReshaMandi, India's largest farm-to-fashion digital ecosystem for natural fibers. Saurabh, thank you so much for joining us here on Data Cloud. Now, pleasure to speak with you. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Lots more coming up from the Data Cloud World Tour India series.